A few days ago, Massive released the first information about patch 1.8, and I wanted to share that information with you today and talk about the one thing that I think this patch really needs if it's going to be successful. So, what is patch 1.8 and why should we be excited about it? Well, patch 1.8 is the first bit of new content proper that we've received for the game for quite some time. Patch 1.7 was very much a placeholder style patch. It had classified gear sets, which are fine. It had global events, which really add conditions to existing content, but patch 1.8 was always hyped up as being the thing to look forward to, the new content, the new playable areas, new story, new game modes, new stuff. It seems like they're actually really delivering on that, far more so than I thought they would, to be perfectly honest, so really happy to say that I think I might have been wrong and perhaps underestimated how much we could have expected from patch 1.8, because I really didn't think it would be this big. The headline item is that there's going to be a new open world area to explore, and that's the west side piers. There's actually two areas within those. The main sort of item you see on the horizon there is that intrepid air carrier. It's not a battleship, as Amish learned, it is an air carrier. And the good news is that we actually get to go inside that thing, but we'll talk more about that soon. Either way, the open world area that they provided looks pretty interesting, to be honest. The design of it looks really great. It's all interconnected as well. The developers went to great lengths to show just how easily you could move through and inside these different environments rather than needing to stick to the street levels as you do in the rest of the light zone areas. They did say that there was a new spawning system in place as well. Right now we kind of know where all the enemies spawn when we're playing. We don't need to be too worried about it, but apparently this new dynamic spawning system can basically pop up enemies in the most unexpected and inconvenient of places, which sounds pretty cool because the more variety there is and the less sort of expected things are when we're playing, that's generally a good thing. There's also a dynamic alerts system they've got going now, so while you're exploring around these piers, there are going to be new mission alerts that immediately pop up. They're going to ask you to go to certain locations and do certain things, and you go there and you do that thing, and then it will ask you to go somewhere else, and it's going to kind of pull you through the mission as you're going, and when you get to the end of it, you get a really nice reward, which is cool, and you also get some division tech, which we'll again speak about in a moment. So the fact that you're actually going to be led through these areas rather than just sort of wandering aimlessly through them is also quite a nice touch. I will say that the west side piers do look pretty great. They put a lot of effort into the design aesthetic. There was in particular the car wash that they showed off, as well as a nightclub scene with like a aquarium dance floor. It just looks really great. They have obviously not skimped on the design of these new areas. They put in the right amount of effort, and it looks like it's going to be fun and enjoyable to walk around and explore these areas. One of the more interesting things that they alluded to as well was a new progression system. Now, basically, division tech, which is currently only available in the Dark Zone and is pretty irrelevant right now, is going to be making a fierce comeback. It's going to be available in the Light Zone as well now, so that's the normal open world, not just the Dark Zone, and the developers have said that it's going to be the cornerstone of a new progression system that we're going to get. Now, this new progression system is a question mark, but there's really only two ways I can see this going. The first is an increase in your stats that are rolled. You can obviously re-roll an item and recalibrate it in the hope that you get a better stat roll, but it's a bit of a clumsy system, so perhaps this system allows us to do that more easily, or perhaps, and this is obviously a bit of a long shot, but perhaps this system allows us to upgrade our regular gear to classified gear, because the means of us getting our hands on classified gear is pretty limited at this point. Everyone wants to get their hands on classified gear, so a system that allows us to convert existing gear into that I think would be nice, but obviously that's a total guess. We'll see what Massive do. Now, one of the things I'm a bit cautious about here is the announcement of a new Horde Mode style of PvE gameplay. Now, the good news about this is that it's set on the air carrier. The idea that we get to do anything on the air carrier is pretty exciting, and apparently there are a few different locations within that air carrier that we will progress throughout this new Horde Mode. Horde Mode, by the way, just in case anyone doesn't know what that terminology means, is essentially a PvE game mode where waves of enemies just keep coming at you and at you and at you, and it just continues, and that's it. Right? That's Horde Mode. The problem is we've been here before, especially with Falcon Lost. Falcon Lost was the first piece of endgame content released after the Division launched, and it was awful. I think anyone that wants to go back and remember Falcon Lost with rose-colored glasses is welcome to do so, but certainly at the time, no one liked Falcon Lost, and in fact, most people still do not like it to this day. I really hope that Massive are going to bring some new approaches. If Horde Mode is where they want to go, that's fine, mind, because Horde Mode could actually be pretty cool, but we definitely need some new sort of formula coming through. We don't want to see a repeat of what we saw in Falcon Lost. One thing that I think everyone can agree is awesome is the announcement of a new PvP mode, which is just straight up 4v4 PvP. There are no enemy AI running around, there are no objectives to capture, there's just straight up killing each other, and that's pretty great, because one of the biggest complaints that a lot of people had about Last Stand was that the maps were so large, there was just so much downtime between encounters, and there was just so much sort of fluff going on that you really didn't spend enough time fighting enemy players, which is really the point of most PvP game modes. So to see that Massive are going down this path and just giving us a straight up PvP experience is great. I really hope I get to experience it, and I'll tell you why I say that at the end of this video. In addition to that, hipfire has also been changed. You now no longer get a reticle when you're hipfiring, and they've also just changed its overall stability yet again. It's about the 4th time we've seen changes to hipfire coming through, with the overall intention of making hipfire less attractive and making the chicken dance a less viable way of PvPing. The developers hinted at a new rogue system coming through as well. I have heard whispers of what this rogue system is from speaking to ETF Charlie members, and if it is what they describe it to be, it is a significantly better system. My information could be absolutely out of date. They could have changed it since what I've heard, so I don't know what it is, but I think I know what it is, and as I said, I think you guys are going to like it. So hopefully we'll get some news on that very soon. And the final thing we can expect is across the board changes to weapon balancing, including the much requested change to gloves, where gloves are now going to have percentage based damage on them instead of flat damages per weapon category. Now this is a really big deal, because right now slower weapons are always worse than faster firing automatic weapons, because the flat damage bonus basically scales way better on those faster weapons. Moving to a percent based damage model when we talk about gloves and their stats is just awesome, and it actually opens up a huge amount of weapon diversity. I really do expect we're going to see a much broader pool of weapons being used and a far more diverse weapon meta than we're currently seeing now. So that's what we know is coming, but having spoken to ETF Charlie members and listening to what the developers have said already, there is a lot more coming in this patch that hasn't yet been announced. So I'm very excited to see where that lands. I haven't been playing a huge amount of 1.7 because I've been waiting for new content, new story, new game modes, new areas to explore, and all of that is on the way, which is fantastic. But there's one thing that I think this game really needs if 1.8 is really going to give this game the shot in the arm that it so desperately needs. And that is the release of all DLC to all players, even those that did not purchase it. Now, I'm sure there are some of you out there who don't like this suggestion because you feel like you had to pay money for your gold pass, and why should someone else get it for free? But let's be real now. The more people that play this game, the better your enjoyment is going to be. You're going to have more people to group with. You're going to have more people in the dark zone to fight against. You're going to have more people queuing up for Last Stand and the new PvP game mode, where right now people like myself in Australia, for example, cannot even find games for that because the player population is just too low, because not everyone owns that DLC. Opening up Underground and Survival and Last Stand to the entire player population would just be amazing. I could not imagine what that would do to swell the ranks of this community and help the game survive in the long term. I know that many people would feel ripped off by this, but I would feel far more ripped off at a game that has no active player base and no community supporting it than I would knowing that someone else got something for free that I had to pay for. Massive, if you're listening, please do give it some thought, and hopefully you can sweet talk the Ubisoft HQ into letting you do it. Anyway, that's it guys, that's everything we know about for patch 1.8. Let me know in the comments below what you are most excited about. We know there's going to be a PTS hitting in September, so we're going to be able to see this stuff for ourselves very soon, and then after that we can obviously expect a release sometime in October or perhaps even November, who knows. There are no shortage of great games to be playing at the moment, so I don't mind having to wait a little bit for patch 1.8, but hopefully we're not waiting too long because it does look very good. Guys, if you liked the video and you found it useful, don't forget to drop it a like and subscribe subscribe, and share it around to other people so they know that patch 1.8 is coming and they know they should give The Division a chance. Tweet at Massive as well. Let them know if you agree with the idea that they should be releasing all DLC to the entire player base. Please let them know so they think about it, so that Ubisoft HQ can see the support for the idea, and hopefully we can get more people into this game. Guys, thank you for watching. Take good care, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.